Okay. Should be able to hear me now. Hello, everyone. Hey, Conrad. Hey, Esther. Michael, good to see you. Amy B, hello. And Jad Bolton. No, I had my mic muted there, Jason. I had to double check all that stuff. Dan Smith, good to see you. I'm doing well. It feels like it's been a long time since I've streamed. I think it has been a while since I've streamed. Hey, Uptrail, thanks for making it. How's the editing going? Okay, Kyle. You're Kyle then. So, I guess we'll just get started. This is kind of a stream that I've wanted to do for a little while. I've thought about it, and I wanted to... Hello, Summer on the Road. I wanted to go over... Well, not really go over, but I wanted to talk about some of the gear I had, and just kind of give my impressions on them, my quote-unquote reviews on them, based on my experience with them thus far. Amy B, yes, that is an X-Wing behind me. Ugh. It is a Lego X-Wing. There you go. See? I got it when the new Star Wars came out. William McKean, good to see you. Sarah Churchwell, welcome to the stream. 20 seconds into editing for Mohican. Is that 20 seconds of the video or 20 seconds of actual editing? Caps Outdoors, good to see you. Wow, I'm glad so many people were able to show up for this stream. So like I said, and as you can probably see in the title, this is going to be a gear review, so to speak, in the sense that I want to go over some of the stuff that I have been using for a while and maybe just got, and just kind of give my thoughts and impressions on them, because I figure a lot of people are just kind of curious about some of the stuff we use, and we haven't really updated our gear video in a long time, and there have been some gear changes we've recently made, so Sha Vang, I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce that, but welcome to the stream. Hello from Ohio. Give me 1 second. I'm going to adjust something here. I'm going to add computer audio. Don't need that. Give me 1 second, guys. It's been a while since I've used this. Oh, no, okay. Okay, well, forget that. I'll just figure it out as we go along. So anyways, I guess let's just go ahead and get started. So let me go back to the comments here. Alright. Did you and Andrew switch to the same sleeping bag as Robbie? Yes, Jason, we did. And actually, that's useful because I did not put that on my list, but I will also talk about that. Scott Neverdusky, thanks for joining. South, thanks for joining. And Jessica Rokes, thanks for joining. Alright, so let's get started here. I'm going to switch the capture to my other monitor so you can see pictures of my gear, because I don't have much space up here, so I can't actually just show you my gear. My black t-shirt is a Bryan classic now, yeah. So let me go ahead and do that. Oh, there we go, sweet. And copy, paste. Okay. There we go. You have to bear with me because I'm still getting used to using the streaming software. Black shirts are classy, my wife says. Oh. Hello? Okay. We still here? Oh, there we go. Sweet. And okay, wait. Oh, nope. Paste. Paste. Oh, there we go. Sweet. And copy. Okay, sorry about that. Technical difficulties. Okay. Okay. All right. Are we all good? Everything good? You have to bear with me because I'm still getting used to using the streaming software. Black shirts are classy, my wife says. Oh. All right, so, oh my gosh. Hello? Okay. We still here? Okay, can everybody hear me? Can everybody see me? Are we all good? Let me know in the chat, and then we'll get started. All right. Everything good? Can everybody hear me? Daryl Anderson, good to see you. Thank you for joining. And thank you for those. I know we've probably mentioned this already, but Daryl Anderson sent us a gigantic box of Japanese snacks, and we're still going through them. Just on our last trip, we were using some of the little instant packets of instant milk coffee. So thank you very much, Daryl Anderson. Old audio overlaps in the current video. I try refreshing the video. Things are weird. Okay, so holy cow. Okay, so I'm just going to assume everything's good now. Okay, great. So, let's get started. First on the list of some of the gear I wanted to talk about was my... Where you are, does the time end with 11? Yes, it does. So, what I wanted to start with is my backpack. I actually changed backpacks, I think almost a little over a year now, because I had it since we went to Germany, which was last summer. And my backpack is a Gregory Baltoro 85 liter, which is actually 5 liters bigger than the one I had before, which was a Kelty. So I went to REI and talked to a bunch of people, and I tried the backpack on, and I actually liked the backpack decently. It's just that it always seems like there's not enough space in it, even though it's more, technically it's more space than my Kelty. It just felt like when I put things in the side pockets and whatever in this backpack, it just ends up squishing the space inside, and I have less space inside. So I've never felt like when I've packed it, I felt like it's packed well. It's a decent backpack though, and it came with its own rain cover. I do like the fact that it has the straps on the bottom, so I can strap my tent to the bottom. For some reason, the Kelty that I had before didn't have actual straps for it, so I had to get separate straps for that, and it was kind of a nuisance. But I'd say this backpack overall, maybe 7.5 out of 10. It's pretty comfortable. Yeah, even at 85 liters, it just feels like there's never enough space in there. It's weird. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So next, I've actually got a new tent. This tent. Wow. What the. This tent is a Mountain Smith Morrison 2-person tent, and I actually got this about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And the whole reason I got this tent was, if you have watched the Manistee video, you'll know that I left my tent poles at one of the campsites. And in the process of trying to prop up my tent with some hiking poles while it was storming, I basically ripped giant holes in my old tent. The old tent was a Kelty Grand Mesa 2, and it was great for price. You know, the Kelty Grand Mesa was great, for quality and price and weight. So I would totally recommend that for someone if they weren't looking to spend too much. But I decided to go with this one after doing some research because it wasn't that much heavier. It had the 2 doors rather than the 1 door. And this thing is so roomy, it's ridiculous. It feels like a mansion compared to my old tent. And it is a mansion compared to Robbie's tent. Did you give up on your hammock? No, I didn't give up on my hammock. I just I always want to make sure I have a tent just in case. I like to switch it up every now and then. No more tarp in the rain camping. No more tarping. No more tarp camping in the rain, in the mosquitoes, ever again for me, ever. Yeah, I'm 50 viewers, right? 40, well, 44. It's changing. But this is the most I've ever seen for Patreon stream, so this is pretty awesome. Thanks for joining, everyone. All right, so, but yes, so I actually used this once so far on a trip we just went on, and it held up really well. Like I said, it's extremely roomy, and it makes it so that I have plenty of space to sleep, to put my backpack in there if I want to put extra things in there. And if Andrew wants to also be in the tent, there's more than enough space for both of us. So as of right now, I have very positive impressions of this tent. And also another thing about this tent, it's the hiking poles cross over the middle, which is the same style as the Kelty. I didn't want any extra poles or extra doodads to have to hook up when I was in. I just wanted the 2 poles clipped right in the middle and then down the sides. That was easy enough for me, and it works really well. William McKean, any idea on the square footage of the tent? I think the square footage was 35 square meters, but let me double check. It is, well, hold on. Yeah, so 35 square feet of main floor space, which I think is 5 more square feet than the Kelty that I had before. And it has 2 doors, which means extra vestibule space, you know, and more convenience. It does weigh 10 ounces more than my previous tent, but I'm willing to sacrifice that for the extra space and just the extra convenience. And I think I can shed a little bit of weight here and there by just sacrificing some of the extra tent pegs and things like that. Hammocking or tent? Which do you prefer? Hey, Bruce Phillips, good to see you. Jessica, I prefer both. It just depends on A, how I'm feeling, and B, weather and things like that. If I'm expecting cold weather, if I'm expecting rain, if I'm expecting cold weather or rain, I much prefer a tent, just for that extra security from the weather. If I'm expecting hot weather and it's going to be dry, and I know that it's going to be nice and foresty, lots of trees, then I prefer a hammock because hammocks are super comfortable. Put tape down, splitting it in 2/3 and 1/3. Andrew only gets 1/3 the space. Well, see, I don't need to do that, Scott, because my sleeping mat is so huge that it already does that for me. Okay, so next one. Okay, so this one I got maybe around the... I got it around the... I think you see me get it in Seneca Creek is when I first used it, because I wanted to make sure I had a good sleeping mat for cold weather. This is a Nemo, I think it's the ultralight tensor, and I got the regular wide sleeping mat. I opted for the wide one because I kind of have wide shoulders, and I hate it when I'm on a sleeping mat, and I basically have no room to like even shift left or right without my shoulder falling off the sleeping mat. So I got the wide one. I think it was the right choice. It's super comfortable, and I feel like I have enough space on there to kind of move around and like go on my side if I want to. It's pretty thick for an inflatable air mat, so it does take a little time to inflate. It is super comfortable though, and it's not noisy like some air mats. And also a really nice thing is it has this quick release valve on the bottom of it, so when you're deflating it and packing it up, all the air just rushes out really easily. So it's packing up. It's much easier than some of the other ones. William McKean says, ever consider using a foam mat? I actually started with a foam mat. I still have it. I actually think I kind of gave it to Andrew, but I started with a foam mat, and those are good enough depending on the situation. But ultimately, I like this better because it's thicker, more cushioning, and I tend to roll on my side a lot. And a foam mat will just kill my neck, kill my shoulder when I do that. So much prefer this. Erland Ang, hello, thanks for joining me. In addition to this, I also got a pillow, which I can't remember what it is. But it's the kind that kind of like rolls up. It's the same one Robbie has. Okay, Kyle, thanks for joining us. Check out the stream afterwards. All right. So this is something you've seen us using for a while. We actually started with their old version, platypus, like water hydration bladder, and it was just basically a pouch with a screw-on nozzle with the hose, and it was good enough. Like the design was simple and it worked well enough. Hi Nancy Au, thanks for joining us. But then we switched to this one, which is the platypus Big Zip is what it's called, and we got the 3-liter ones. And I'm actually really impressed by these because it has a lot of nice little extra designs. So first of all, in the middle, it has like a little divider thing that keeps it from expanding too much outwards, like puffing out. The hose is really easily detachable by pressing the button. There's no spilling if you want to take off the hose when you're filling it up. And the little zip thing on the top is really easy and secure. And it does have some designs that are similar to like the Camelbacks and I think the Ospreys are the other ones. But this one just is very simple, and it has all the features I need without any extra things. Oh, it also has the nozzle you can like lock and unlock, so there's no like leaking. William McKean, what made you guys all use platypi as opposed to canteens and water bottles? Well, it's just more convenient to pack these up in your bag. The weight is distributed evenly, as opposed to trying to put Nalgene's all over the place. And most packs don't really have a lot of places to put Nalgene's now. Like my pack has one place that's technically dedicated for Nalgene, and I still use it from time to time. But this is just much more convenient. It's easier to fill up one big pouch rather than trying to, filter 3 different Nalgene's. Scott Neverdusky says, I just use water bottles I can attach a life straw to. What do you guys use for water filtration? We use well, I can actually pull it up here if you want. So I use this. Oops. Use the Katahdin Hiker Water Microfilter. We've been using this for a long time now. It's served its purpose. We haven't really bothered to look into getting a newer one or something even better. Like I said, it works, it gets the job done, and that's all we really needed. We haven't had any problems with it, and therefore we haven't really looked at getting something better. I always use a canteen attached to my belt. I find that my personal best solution. So I guess that could be a thing, but for me, I don't tend to wear pants that have belts just because I don't want that. I don't need them, and I don't want that extra, I guess, weight or whatever. I like really lightweight pants that don't have belt loops. Do you each have a pouch, or do you all share one? We each have one. I think typically they recommend that you try to drink 2 to 3 liters of water a day when you're hiking, especially if the weather's very hot. And especially for me, I sweat a lot, so I need to make sure I drink tons of water. So having a pouch each is very important. Okay, let's go back to this. Oops. Okay. Okay, so this one you saw me use in Manistee, or you may have seen me reclining a lot in that episode. And I was sitting in this chair, and I recently got this because Nicole got the bigger version of it, and it's called the REI FlexLight Low Chair, and the regular one's called the REI FlexLight Chair. And so, first things first, it's very comfortable to sit in, but you pretty much have to be reclining, otherwise the balance is really weird. The thing I don't like about it is that it doesn't collapse like normally. You have to kind of disassemble it, so you have to take the chair part off and then like pull out all the legs and put it in the pouch, and it's a little inconvenient if you're, you know, just want to pull it out and sit for a little bit. And then another thing I noticed after Manistee, the bungee cord or whatever elastic is used to keep the tension for the pulls, or whatever you want to call them, was starting to get a little loose. The chair still works fine technically, but I'm concerned that after one trip, if the bungee's starting to get a little loose, then it might not be very good after maybe 3 or 4 trips, and then, you know, it won't be as secure. So I'm probably actually going to return this. How small does it fold down to? So it folds down pretty small. Actually, I've got it. Hold on. So this is what it packs down to, and it's about maybe the size of my forearm in terms of length. And it's not that heavy. I'd say maybe 1.5 pounds. But like I said, for all the negatives, like if I see the elastic starting to wear out after one trip, I mean, that's kind of ridiculous. So I'm going to return this. Hey B, I have a similar one, but I think they are too low to the ground, in my opinion. You know, that's what I thought too, Brad. The design of the low one is that you kind of have to sit in it and then stick your feet out to keep the balance so you're not falling backwards. And it's comfortable, but I went for the low one because its weight is a lot less than the big one, and its price was a little cheaper. But still, I just wasn't fully impressed by it. I've been using a similar style chair from Hillinox, and it's been holding up really well. Check them out if you decide to return yours. I will definitely check that out, Andrew. Thank you. I'll write that down. Okay, excuse me. So, you've probably seen me using this one for a while now. This is the REI trail stool, and the whole reason... Okay, hold on. William McKean says, I definitely get the appeal of chairs. Sometimes a log or the dirt isn't too appealing to sit on. That's exactly why I got a chair. Sometimes I don't feel like sitting on the ground, especially if it's like wet or cold. And sitting on the log sometimes is great, but you know, eventually, you know, it gets really uncomfortable. So I wanted something more comfortable. But anyway, so this is the REI trail stool, and you've probably seen me using this for a while now in our episodes. The whole reason I got this one was so when we film, we stop all the time. We stop constantly, and we're maybe waiting, or at least me, you know, whoever's setting up the shot, sometimes we're waiting like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, maybe even 5 minutes, depends on what we do, while someone goes and sets up the camera to get all the settings right. And, you know, standing around for an extra 30 minutes per mile, it can really make your feet really tired for no like reason. Like you're getting no distance, but your feet are getting more tired. So I got this one so that I could just basically whip it out, unfold it, and sit on it whenever I needed to. And I really like this one. It weighs like 1 pound. It's really easily packed up. No, like nothing to take on like the FlexLight. And also another thing is I can kind of like hook it around my waist strap so that it kind of dangles off. So the minute we stop hiking, I unclip my waist strap, just pull it right off, unfold it, and sit down. There's no like pulling it out of my pack or anything like that. So I actually really like this. Highly recommend it. Only con is that it's not comfortable to sit on for extended periods of time. If you're going to sit on it for more than like 5 or 10 minutes, then I wouldn't recommend it because it can make your butt numb, or it can just be a little uncomfortable on your lower area. So it's good for sitting on when, you know, here and there, like if you're going to sit in front of the fire and maybe toast a marshmallow or whatever. But I would get up every so often. I use that RES tool for sketching outside. Love it. Okay, awesome. Chairs also don't have chiggers waiting to eat you. Yes, that's true, Scott. That's another thing. Creepy crawlies. I just Asian squat while I'm in the wild. That way I don't have to carry a chair. Asian squat, yes, but it still doesn't take the pressure off my feet if I'm standing around waiting for a shot to be set up. And the whole reason for this is to try and preserve the strength in my feet, I guess. Cut out a small piece from your old foam sleeping pad and bam, butt pad for the cold, wet ground. Actually, Andrew, if I can't, I think it might have been Hoosier. In fact, I think it was Hoosier Winter episode. You'll see that I'm carrying around a small white piece of foam that I cut out of like some packing foam. And I brought that with me. And yes, it actually works really well. For like, you can just like put it on top of a log or whatever and sit on that. Works pretty well. And it's also kind of nice if you kind of hang it off the bottom of your pack. You can just kind of sit down right on it. But like I said, this is great for the most part. Serves a lot of the purpose I need it for. Standing is definitely more tiring than walking. I agree with you there, yes. And like I said, William, it's not just about the standing. It's about not making any distance and just getting more tired while you're standing there. So, Bruce Phillips, Jessica, I have the regular height chair for reference. It'll fit into a water bottle pocket on a day pack if you wanted it to. Which chair is that? Oh, okay. Nice, super light and free. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Do I have anything else to talk about? No, I guess that's it. Okay, so I guess there was another thing I can talk about. Let me pull it up. Okay, well, I can't pull it up because I don't remember the name, but it's the sleeping bag that got mentioned earlier in the chat. So yes, Andrew and I did switch to the same sleeping bag as Robbie. It's a down sleeping bag, and it's 0 degrees, technically. It's really great. I like it a lot for many reasons. First of all, it's a lot warmer than my previous synthetic sleeping bag. It is roomier than my previous sleeping bag, so like I said, I have wide shoulders, so in my old sleeping bag, I felt very claustrophobic in it. I felt like I couldn't really move around very much. This one, there's a decent amount of room. I never feel like I'm like stuck in it. William McKean, 0 degrees Fahrenheit or Celsius. Freezing temperature. How about that? Freezing temperatures. So, without any spoilers for the next episode, did you all have a good time camping this weekend? I'll get back to you on that, Amy. But yes, so in addition to the down sleeping bag, it also packs up much tighter than the other one. It comes with the I forget what they call it. The pack itself like can constrict down, so it squeezes a lot tighter, and it's just overall more comfy. So that's all I had for the gear that I wanted to talk about, or at least that I could think of. If you guys can think of any other gear that you've seen me use and you want my opinion on it, just let me know, and I'll talk about it. So to address Amy B's question, I did not enjoy our last trip. If you saw our Shawnee episode for the eclipse, it was like that, except we basically had to do the whole trip. I won't go into too much more detail, but yeah, it was rough. And yes, compression sack. That's what I was trying to think of. How has your overall bag weight changed since Kumatori? Better or worse? Definitely better than Kumatori. Kumatori was an interesting situation because we didn't really know what to expect, and I think we overpacked just a little bit, but it was also very cold on Kumatori. Um, but overall, the sleeping bag is lighter. The water is a bit more efficient with the new platypus. I've just gotten a bit smarter about what I pack, and I'd say overall my bag weight is lower. And basically, the thing that fluctuates the most in terms of weight with my bag is how much, well, not how much, but what kind of food I bring. If I wanted to, and I wanted to be like an actual camper and bring like nuts and mountain house, you know, dried food things, then I could save a lot of weight in that department, and I could like minimize like bringing extra clothes and things like that. But it's it's always something that you kind of play around with, which every time you go on a trip is what can I cut without really what do I not need? What can I cut to save a little bit of weight? Down jacket. So I haven't used my down jacket in a while, but I got that blue down jacket from REI, and honestly, it's been great. I mean, it does its thing. Like it keeps me warm. I don't really know how to rate it because it keeps me warm, and that's all I need it to do. You know. I guess another thing about the my blue down jacket is that one thing I noticed is that it doesn't, like, feathers don't come out of it nearly as much as other down things I own. Like cheaper down jackets and my sleeping bag, feathers are every so often popping out of that thing. But this one I very, very rarely see that, so it's actually kind of nice. Okay, so how/where do you pack your sleeping bag? Mine always feels so obtrusive. So Jessica, I always pack my sleeping bag at the very bottom for several reasons. First of all, it's usually the last thing I take out of my bag. I'm never taking my sleeping bag out in the middle of a hike, so there's really no reason for it to be anywhere higher. Secondly, it's usually one of the heavier things, so I want it at the bottom of my pack and not at the top, making me like top heavy and throwing my center of gravity off. One thing I will say though is that putting my sleeping bag at the bottom puts it at risk of getting wet if it rains or something. Just because any bit of water that might seep into the pack at the bottom can easily get into the sleeping bag. So I may try and mess with it a little bit, maybe put like a layer of plastic bag or something at the bottom. I'm not sure. But it hasn't been a huge issue yet. Lots of bugs. Yes, lots of bugs. Well, not so much bugs, but the spiders again. Spiders on the trail. I hate it so much because someone always has to be walking in the front waving a stick, and if you stop for 1 second, you suddenly get spider webs in your face, and don't get me started on that trip. You'll see it. Today, Lynette, yes, sleeping bag is outdoor vitals. Thank you. I couldn't remember it off the top of my head. My sleeping bag is currently drying out, so because it got a little moist, so I couldn't remember exactly what it was. Greg Paul, hiking shoes and trekking poles. So my hiking shoes are Keen brand. I don't know specifically what hiking boots they are, but I got them from REI, and I really like them. They're very comfortable, and I have had zero issues with them. The waterproofiness of them is great. Very rarely do my feet get wet unless, I screw up and step in something really deep, or I leave my foot in the water too long. Actually, my boots have been a very positive experience. So I would say, in terms of Keen brand, my experience has been great. Trekking poles, I've been using REI. I think they're like carbon fiber some sort of carbon fiber hiking poles, and they're the kinds that they don't twist, they just clamp, so there's no springiness to them, and I prefer that actually. I like those a lot. They're great for support, when you're hiking, so I liked those too. They were on the pricey side, but I think we got them when Andrew did the, what's it called? He did the Find Your Park thing, and he got a bunch of free stuff from REI, so he got me some hiking poles. 1 second. Okay. Yes, William McKean, the Deku stick, because it gets rid of the spider webs for us. William McKean also says, would you ever consider bringing a wool blanket into the wild for a more rustic experience? I would actually, only as long as I knew that the weather and the season and everything was right for it. It has to be cool, dry, no bugs, and just great weather. And then I would love doing that. Like, I would love sleeping out under the stars as long as the weather was great. One of my biggest things about camping is I need a good night's sleep. Do you use an underquilt with your hammock? Yes, I do. I use a generic windshield reflector shield underneath my sleeping bag. Any thoughts? So I've used an underquilt on my hammock because I've noticed that even when it's slightly chilly or there's a reasonable breeze, it tends to take a lot of heat away from me. I've thought about using the generic windshield reflector before. I never really did because I have the underquilt. I find the underquilt to be... I really like the underquilt because I don't know, it's kind of like a security thing. You feel really warm and everything. And it's really not hard to pack. Like a down underquilt can pack really tight. In Hoosier, I did use my foam sleeping mat, which is kind of flexible, essentially the same way. I put it in my hammock and then I laid my sleeping bag on top and I lay on that. And that worked really well for insulating my back, but I also had my underquilt with that too. But it depends, honestly, on how cold it's going to be. I feel like the windshield reflector works for anything that's, maybe 45 degrees at most, but anything colder I would recommend getting a underquilt, especially if you expect it to be windy. Uptrail says, I'll send you a link for a good cheap pack liner to your Facebook PM under $3 with free shipping. Okay, thanks, Uptrail. Trash compactor bag for backpack liner for the win. I used to do that a lot. I used to put a trash bag in my backpack and then put things in that, especially if I was expecting rain. But like I said earlier, with my new backpack, it feels like everything's always already cramped in there, so I feel like putting a trash bag in there would be like kind of annoying. But I might start doing it again, especially if I expect rain. William McKean says, this is a side question, but when does it usually snow first where you live? Well, since we live in Ohio, that's like, it can range anywhere from November to January or February. We've had such sporadic winters. But one thing that holds true is that winter does not go away for a long time. Like, it can be snowing in April. Today, Lynette, not afraid of bears hanging in your hammock asleep? No, I'm not. I've never really felt afraid of bears in general, just because we haven't really run into anything, and we always take the proper precautions when we're in bear country. We cook our food away from our campsites. We hang our food in proper places. We don't keep food near our campsites when we're sleeping. That isn't to say I wouldn't be afraid if I heard noises. I've definitely woken up in my tent too, and heard noises and been a little concerned, because you never know at night. You just hear all these random sounds. Going straight into winter, forget fall. Yeah, well, for us, it's going straight into winter. Wait, no, you're right. Yeah, exactly. Forget fall. It's still like summer here. It's still like 85 degrees. It's crazy. Maruha, thanks for joining us. This is random, but what toothpaste do you guys bring camping? What are your thoughts on toothpaste and leave no trace? So we bring Dr. Bronner's toothpaste. It's like an organic, like it's like all natural organic toothpaste, and I assume it's supposed to be good for the it's supposed to be fine for the environment. I would say with brushing your teeth and leave no trace, I mean, just don't be gross with it. Like, don't do it in the middle of the grass, like where somebody might set up a tent or lay down. Like, at the very least, you know, do it in the fire pit and then like bury the ashes on it, or which I think that's probably the best thing to do is to, like, you know, do it in the fire pit and then bury ashes on it or whatever. I honestly don't know 100% like what the effect is of normal toothpaste on the environment. But I feel like it can't be that much because toothpaste is just so small. Like, but I don't know. William McKean, yep, that's how it be up here. I love wintertime though, so no problem for me. Jessica says, have you ever had a scary animal encounter while on a hiking trip? Does the possibility of encountering something treacherous make you nervous? No, personally, I have never had any scary animal encounters. Not even like snakes or anything like that. Does the possibility of encountering something treacherous make you nervous? For the most part, no. I don't know why. It just doesn't. The thing that honestly makes me most nervous is if I should expect like poisonous snakes, because those are the kind of things that can really just catch you off guard. Whereas, like, you know, bears generally are, you know, they're more scared of you than they are. Like, there's a lot of rules for how, you know, how to keep yourself safe with bears, and you know, we carry bear spray and stuff like that. But if a snake, if you step on a snake, you're not going to be able to bear spray it away. Oh, up trail, have a good night. So yeah, okay. Oh, I should probably switch this back, shouldn't I? There we go. There we go. Forgot about that. So, we came across a copperhead in our last Smokies trip. An old man stepped right over him before we saw it. Scary stuff. He was completely blended in. Yeah, see, and that's the thing, is like snakes, they're evolved to like hide, be hidden, and like stalk their prey or whatever. So, you know, scary stuff. Those are definitely one of the scarier things. So let's see. I've got about 10 more minutes on the stream, so if you guys want to ask me any more questions, or if you want to do lightning round, ask me whatever, and I'll try and answer as many as I can. And I'm still willing to talk about any other gear you might have questions about. Have you ever worn gaiters for wet/muddy conditions? No. We haven't really encountered conditions that bad that we have needed gaiters, except for Seneca, where we had the muck boots when we were doing the river crossings. But if we ever found ourselves doing some serious camping and hiking in like some serious snake country, I would look for like snake bite proof gaiters or whatever, the tough gaiters that snakes can't bite through. Jessica says, upcoming trips planned. Well, like I said, we just finished one last weekend, so I don't think we have anything technically planned so far. Oh, Jason, got a jet, got a guitar lesson, awesome. Play that guitar. Welcome to all the new patrons. Yes, thank you to all the new patrons. I saw that the view count was very high, so thank you to any new patrons who are here today. But yes, so technically no trips planned in terms of a date set. We have some locations already in mind, but nothing set in stone. Favorite trip so far? If I'm talking about my favorite trip, I'd probably go with... Oh, man, that's tough. That's really hard. I really, really enjoyed Manitou Island because that place was just awesome. Like, I would love to go back there when there's a little bit less bugs and when I have more time to go and hike around that island some more. The Manitou Island was beautiful. But, I mean, Pictured Rocks, Algonquin, those are all up there, too. Next video to be posted. I'm not sure, Jessica, so I don't want to say it and be wrong. So you'll have to just wait for it. It should be next Monday, though, that we post the next video. What's the next camping gear you're looking to buy or upgrade? That's a good question. I haven't really thought about if I needed to upgrade anything. Honestly, I like everything that I have so far. If I really wanted to upgrade something, well, my tent was the thing I wanted to upgrade, and that got upgraded technically. I would say either a new water filter, because talking about the water filter today has made me think like there's got to be something maybe a bit more efficient, or I kind of want to look into maybe a thicker underquilt for my hammock for extremely cold weather, but I'm not sure about that because underquilts can get pricey. Lightning round question about your acquaintance, Thomas. Thomas is my friend. I was just joking when I said he was my acquaintance. He said he was a nosy neighbor when he was a kid. Is that true? Yes or no? He was more friends with Andrew, so I didn't really pay attention to that. So I wouldn't say he was a nosy neighbor, because I mean he hung out with Andrew a lot, but I mean they were friends. So just wanted to say I just finished downloading your music albums to my phone. All the songs you guys do will definitely help me focus at work when I need to. Awesome! I'm so glad that our music is appreciated and you guys are enjoying it. When we first started doing Adventure Archives, we never really thought that our music would take off so much. Like we've really grown in how we've written our music, and it's really fun to see how our music has changed along the way. I recently acquired some World War II era U.S. Army Gators, mostly just because they look cool. That's pretty cool. Fave camping equipment / gear of time and brand. Ugh. I don't think I can say that I have a favorite camping equipment. But I would say in terms of brand, maybe Kelty, just because I've had a Kelty tent and I had a Kelty backpack, and they were both very reliable. So I have nothing really negative to say about those for right now, and they're fairly affordable. But that's a really difficult question to ask, or to answer. Scott Neverdusky, are you a waterfall, ocean, forest, western mountain, or eastern mountain guy? I would say an ocean guy. I think I would enjoy the ocean the most. I love all the trips that we've taken that have been on huge open bodies of water, like Pictured Rocks, Algonquin, and North Manitou. I've enjoyed, so I guess that points to that. Jessica says, I've really enjoyed seeing y'all in Louisiana from there myself. Well, that's awesome. Did y'all make it into New Orleans, or did you, or just do your camping adventures? We just did our camping adventures. Unfortunately, we didn't actually have time to really make it into New Orleans. It would have been great too, but we just didn't have time on the schedule, unfortunately. Manitou Island looks awesome. Bummed I never went there when I lived in Michigan. Yeah, it's great. It's really beautiful. It was something that up until then we had never experienced, where it goes from like forest to like open grassy plain to another forest and things like that. So it was really cool. Stephen Miller, thanks for joining. Sorry you couldn't make it earlier, but you know this will be archived on Patreon, so you can always check it out later. Okay. All right, 5 more minutes, guys. 5 more minutes. So if you have any more questions, ask them now, and I will answer them. Maybe. Depends. What am I drinking? Ice water. What's my camping peeve? Oh, have a good night, Jessica. Thanks for joining us. Camping peeve. I actually had a really good answer for that one. I was thinking about it recently. Okay, one of my biggest camping peeves is having to, like, dang it. I know I had a good answer for this one. Well, one thing I really dislike is having to... Oh, thank you, Amy, about my room decorations. Actually, if you like my room decorations, the mini vlog we'll have tomorrow for the weekly update, I actually kind of show you some of the stuff in this room, so make sure you check that out. But to get back to your question, Nancy, one of my camping peeves is I hate when I feel rushed while I'm hiking. So if we ever, like, if we have to be, you know, if we get up in the morning, we're like, okay, we need to hike this many miles to get to the next campsite, it like throws off my whole sense of, like, harmony, I guess. Like, I don't want to have to be thinking about how much distance I'm doing. I just want to be hiking and enjoying it for what it is. And I know some people are different. Some people love hiking distance, but for me, it's just like I just want to go as far as I need to go and stop when I want to stop. Let's see. Favorite pizza topping? Let's go with, like, Italian sausage. Can't go wrong with that. I'm more interested in your room than your gear explanation. Yes, Erland. Like I said, tomorrow watch the little mini vlog. You'll get to see a little bit more of this room. When will the patches be sent out? Just curious. So, Conrad, the patches, we've put in an order to have the patches made, but it will take at least 3 weeks for those to be produced. So we're hoping to get them out somewhere towards the end of October. Unfortunately, there's no way to expedite that, but we had to wait till the end of September before we could put the order in because we needed to see how many we needed to order. But keep reading the weekly updates in Patreon. We'll keep you guys posted on, you know, when things will be ready to go out. Amy B, next live stream tour of the room. I mean, I'll give you guys a more in-depth tour of the room next live stream. It's kind of brief in the weekly update. What brand have y'all found? Excuse me. What brand have y'all found to have the brightest lumen or a headlamp and flashlight? I don't know specifically if we have a specific brand to be the brightest, but we use black diamond headlamps that we got from REI, and those have served us really well. I bought some rechargeable AAAs, and I just charge them after every trip. How old am I? I am 33. I'm gonna guess your room is tidier than Andrew's. Depends. I mean, like, if I'm really busy during the week, I usually save my cleaning for the weekend. Brian, we have no questions. Just want to tell you that we had our first hammock camping trip this past weekend. Hammocks rock, best nights rest while camping. Yes, hammock. That is the biggest positive about hammocks, is that it's so comfortable to sleep in. I always sleep comfortably when I hammock. When I'm in my tent with my air mats, everything's pretty good now that I've got, like, good gear, or gear that I like, but I still always wake up every few times during the night in the tent because I gotta move around. Your room seems really organized. Actually, Maruha, this is not technically my room. This is, like, my office, like, where I do computery stuff and gaming and whatnot. My bedroom's different. Who is more tidier, me or Andrew? I am tidier, 100% more tidier than Andrew. I won't go into that, though. That's a whole other can of worms. William McKean, thanks for joining the stream. It is 10 p.m., so looks like we are done for the night. I hope you all had a good time. Thanks you so much for joining me. and I'm glad I got to stream after kind of a long hiatus. And again, thank you to all the new Patreons who have joined us tonight. Stay tuned on Patreon on the weekly updates and future Patreon streams for updates on patches and things like that. We're trying to we want to make sure you guys get your your patches and everything. So if you were a $10 plus Patreon last month, we need to know that your address so we can send you the patches. We'll remind you guys so that we can get that out. So I want to make sure everybody gets their stuff. All right, have a good night, everyone.